Good morning, Attorney Vitangcol, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Christian. Good morning to all your viewers.
Okay, first, I'd like to ask how you got involved in some of the members of Kapa Community Ministry.
There is an organization called Ahon sa Kahirapan Movement, and the members mostly are also members of the Kapa Community Ministry International. And the convener is actually a good friend of mine, and he invited me to speak for them and also to give them legal advice.
And what exactly do they want to do or to happen here, since there's an ongoing investigation or even a case against Kapa Community Ministry?
Actually, when all of this news about Kapa Community Ministry came out, nobody was standing up to speak for Kapa, except for some members of the Ahon sa Kahirapan. And from their point of view, there is no legal opinion being given on the case. So they asked my presence to help them.
So in which case, what exactly do they want to do? Are they trying to have their donations or investments protected? What exactly is it that they want?
Actually, the members of the Kapa Ministry are in favor of the continuing operation of Kapa, and they do not believe that it is an investment scam, particularly since Kapa Ministry is a religious organization. So whatever activities they have within the ministry is supposedly insulated from the prying and meddling of the state.
Okay, so according to them, there's a separation between the donations that they have given to the religious community. Is that what you're saying? And
yes, particularly, yes, Christian.
Yeah, go ahead. And
particularly, they signed a deed of donation, so it's a donation to be given to the Kapa Ministry to help the organization implement its program towards helping the poor. And in fact, in their certificate of membership, it is stated therein that the program of the ministry cannot be implemented without the aid of money, and that is the reason for the donation.
Now, why is it not an investment scam as far as they are concerned if in fact there's a promise supposedly of a 30% return to those donations?
Christian, in the deed of donation, there is no specification that it will be given a 30% return. And in fact, in their regular ministry work, it is simply said that they will be receiving blessings, which is very common among all religious organizations.
But were there, because according to the SEC, even if that is not written on paper, the practice actually reeks of a Ponzi scheme. Whether they call it love donation or donation for that matter, still the process or the mechanism reflects a Ponzi scheme.
Based on the decision of the SEC, yes, they said that. But at any rate, I believe that when you read the decision of the SEC, you could see there that the SEC wasn't able to hear the side of Kapa.
Oh, so what's your position here? It's not an investment scam, right?
Yes, yes.
But aren't we using euphemisms here when in fact that is actually an investment scam? And according to the SEC, they had to step in to protect those same members of Kapa Community Ministry.
Yes, that's according to the SEC. But if you will be talking to the members of the Ahon sa Kahirapan movement, particularly the same members of the Kapa Ministry, they are not in any way opposed to what Kapa is doing, and in fact, they are enjoying the blessings, if you will call it blessings out of their donation, but simply blessings coming from their own ministry.
But that's for now, because that's how precisely investment scams operate. You would enjoy or reap the benefits for now, but later on, that won't be sustainable.
I will not be able to answer for Kapa Ministry since I am not their lawyer, Christian. I'm only representing some of the members of the Kapa Ministry who are likewise the members of the Ahon sa Kahirapan movement.
Yeah, my point is this. You're saying that the members that you represent are not opposed to that, but don't they find anything wrong with that? They should have at least studied how the process works, that perhaps for now they're reaping the benefits, perhaps even 30% return. But later on, aren't they bothered that how could Kapa Community Ministry actually sustain this kind of return or blessings, as you called it?
I don't know the internal operations of Kapa Ministry, but according to the members that I have talked to, so you might consider this not at first-hand information, Kapa Ministry operates several businesses, and each of these business is earning a certain amount of revenue in its own, and the blessings that are being given to the members are coming from these businesses.
Based on your appreciation as a lawyer, since you're representing some of the members, you don't think that this is an investment scam?
I don't give my opinion on that matter simply because I am not a member of the ministry, nor I am a member of the Ahon sa Kahirapan.
But you said earlier that you
Yes.
said earlier that they hired you precisely to give a legal opinion.
On what happened, okay?
Yeah,
on
but-
what happened to the proceedings before the Kapa.
Yeah, but this is the crux of the matter here. Because even if you say that the members don't find anything wrong with that particular practice, even if they're not opposed to it, that doesn't mean that the practice is not illegal. That's a point.
Yes, I agree with you on that, Christian. But my engagement with them is to study the whole process, what happened, and probably what are the legal remedies that can be done. If you will be looking at the decision of the SEC, you could see there that SEC rendered its decision based on the allegations of its Enforcement and Investors Protection Program Department only, without the benefit of hearing the side of Kapa. Why is this so? Because Kapa was not able to file their verified answer even though they have a retained counsel at that time.
So the issue is due process. Kapa Community Ministry was not accorded proper due process here. That's the point.
They were accorded due process, but my point here is that the handling lawyer at the time was not able to effectively protect the interests of Kapa relative to the SEC case. Why am I saying that? Number one, they failed to file a motion to lift the cease and desist order, thereby making it permanent. And secondly, they failed to file an answer to the petition filed by the Enforcement and Investors Protection Department of the SEC. So, at any point in time, there is no answer filed for Kapa. So, of course, SEC will be deciding it based only on the allegations of the investigating unit. And that is actually part of the process.
So what's the move now of the members that you represent? Since based on your account of what happened, perhaps they should blame the lawyers of Kapa.
They are actually blaming the lawyers of Kapa. And in fact, they are planning to file a disbarment case against the handling lawyer. But some cooler heads prevailed, and they are waiting for some other actions by the other officers of the Kapa ministry. So the members actually cannot do this because they are not privy to the transaction between the handling lawyers and the Kapa ministry.
Now, in the meantime, what do they want to do? They want the operations to continue, but there's already a cease and desist order.
Yes, that is exactly the problem. So all they have to do now is to wait
Do they want their
and see what will happen with regards to the ongoing case against Kapa ministry.
Do they want their money back?
I have not heard them saying that they want their money back. All they are saying is that they want the operations to continue so that they would be able to continue with their daily lives, particularly for those who are depending on the help coming from the Kapa ministry.
Now, of course, aside from the legal issues that are involved here, there's also the perspective or the allegation that this is actually political because you have Pastor Kibuloy actually at odds with the leader of Kapa Community Ministry. What do you think? Is this actually more political than legal?
Well, I would say it's both political and legal. Actually, the two components always goes together. Sometimes, out of the political situation, a legal scenario can be created.
Now, in the case of the Kapa Community Ministry head, Pastor Joel Apolinario, is now hiding. So technically, authorities are looking for him. Why don't he just face the music if he's not guilty? Because others see that, the fact that he's in hiding, as perhaps a sign of guilt.
Yes, Christian, I agree with you on that matter. They say that plight is an indication of guilt. But according to Pastor Joel Apolinario, in his on-air live interview with Ted Filon the other day, he said that he is hiding simply because he fears for his safety. And he is waiting for the members to tell him to come out.
Okay. Now, earlier at the start of this interview, you made a distinction between the donations, Kapa as a religious organization, and activities that might come under the purview of the government. What exactly are you saying here? So, do you believe the SEC has any jurisdiction over the donations given by the members?
Yes, I believe that the SEC does not have any jurisdiction over what happens inside a religious organization. For example, let's say we have other religious organizations and the members are giving their donations, but the SEC does not step in. And even if a certain church would be promising a blessing of 100-fold, 100% or more than that, the SEC does not step in. So I think what is sauce for the goose should also be the sauce for the gander. So thereby, the Kapa Ministry of Operations should be insulated from the investigation of SEC.
Where exactly are you basing that principle? The fact that the SEC should not step in?
You know, Christian, I have said before in one of my previous interviews that the loss of the religion is actually very difficult to reconcile with the loss of man. And in this case, if you look at the loss of religion, giving is always there, and the return in the form of a blessing is always there. And in fact, religious law would always say that if you give, you will receive more than 100-fold, more than 1,000-fold. So if you do that in the sense of a strict mathematical computation, when you say 100-fold, that will be 100%, and 1,000-fold, that will be 1,000%. So if we compare it with the 30% ceiling that the SEC is saying, then it's much, much more than the 30% that they are saying that is a scam. So are we saying now that giving a 100-fold blessing or a 1,000-fold blessing is a scam? That will now be a big question mark. But then again, I would say it will be really hard to reconcile the loss of religion and the loss of man.
Aren't you being too literal about your interpretation? In Tagalog, nagiging pilosopo kayo if you talk about 100-fold compared to a 30% promise of return. Because here, even if you'd like to call it love donation, the fact is, the findings of the SEC is that it appears that that is an investment scam.
I cannot answer for Kapa Ministry, Christian.
Yeah, again, answer for the members that you represent, because they were the ones who were affected by the SEC decision.
Yes, I am answering for the members.
Yeah, so yeah, what do you think of that?
As far as the members are concerned, yes, Christian.
Yeah, well, what do you think
of that?
As far
as the members are...
I'll finish this point. Because, excuse me, Attorney Vitangcol, because with the way you explained it, the loss of religion and the loss of man, basically, it sounds pilosopo eh. And to some, it might sound very ridiculous, because that might be seen as a mere justification of an outright illegal activity that's happening within a religious organization. I think that's the point here.
No, I'm only relaying to you the feelings of the members, Christian.
And what is your opinion as a lawyer?
Well, since this is a pending case, so I cannot render publicly an opinion that might, in one point or another, jeopardize the case.
again, we go back to your position earlier that part of the reason that they hired you or they took you in was for you to give your legal opinion on this matter, because that's a very interesting point that you raised there, the loss of religion and the loss of man here. Because honestly, if you talk about certain other religious organizations, the feeling is that religion is being used to dupe certain members. I'm not saying that that is what exactly is happening here. But the point is, certain people might be susceptible to abuse by certain charismatic people who are putting up their own ministers or religion, when in fact they're actually running an investment scam. Again, I'm not saying that this is the case here with Kapa, but these things are possible. That's the point.
Yes, that might be possible, Christian. That might be possible.
So what do you say then to that? Because you're trying to defend the lack of opposition by the members that you represent to the findings of the SEC in this particular matter.
That's how they feel about it, Christian. And actually, all of them are, I would say some of them, or even a majority of them, are sad, feeling that the Kapa Ministry of Operations was closed down, and it has deprived them of the help that they are getting from the ministry.
Is there any conversation between you and your, should I call them clients, or the members of the, some members of the ministry? Are they your clients? Is that right to use that word?
Yes, we have been communicating with some of the members of the Kapa ministry, but not with Pastor Joel Apolinario.
Okay, in your conversations with the some of the members of Kapa Community Ministry, did you even or ever talk about the sustainability of that practice? Because according to the SEC, there was a promise of a return on investment, or blessing, as you called it earlier, in perpetuity. How exactly do you sustain this?
Well, according to them, again, I'm saying, Christian, that I do not have first-hand information about this, okay? This is simply according to them. According to the members, the Kapa Ministry International has a lot of businesses, and all of these businesses are earning. So, for example, they have a fishing operation, and when they do fishing out in the seas, every time they go back, they have tons of fish, which is worth millions of pesos. And they do that on a daily basis. So that's one. And then they also have a mining operation. I don't know where, but according to them, it also earns some money, and some other businesses.
But of course, that's also debatable, because even if you talk about the business portfolio of Kapa Community Ministry, there's that perspective or even findings that they're not exactly earning that much to sustain the promise of a 30% return.
Based on the pronouncements of the SEC, I believe that they only looked into the hospital and the school earnings. And of course, the hospital and the school earnings would be small as compared to the revenues produced by the other big businesses that they have.
Now, are the members that you represent, aren't they bothered by certain red flags here? Because it's very mind-boggling to be given a promise of a 30% return, even if you said that was not written in the deed of the nation. But in practice, aren't they bothered by that? Ang laki-laking return. How do you sustain that?
Actually, Christian, there was no promise of 30% according to them. And in fact, some members were given more than that. Some members received 50% more than what they have given. Others have received vehicles to be used for their livelihood. Others have received financial assistance to build their own houses. So it's even more than 30%.
Don't you think that's even worse? More than 30%? How do you sustain that? Aren't they asking those basic questions? Because I think that's a problem here.
Yes.
Even, I'd like to finish here.
Those are actually big questions.
Here.
Those are actually questions, Christian, that I myself would want to know. But basically, I don't know the internal operations of Kapa Ministry, and I'm basing it only on what the members have witnessed. So according to them, there are several businesses that are earning big, and it is from these big businesses that the blessings are coming from.
Yeah, but as a lawyer, don't you find anything wrong with that? You said even more than 30% return. because I think the problem here is that we're trying to avoid the idea of the poor being exploited using religion or in the name of religion. Because while that might be the case now, they're enjoying the benefits for now, down the line, the others who would come in, whose money would also be invested or donated as a love donation to this news organization, they might be the ones who would be left suffering because of this unsustainable practice, which the SEC describes as an investment scam. That's a point.
Yes, Christian, no? That's the point. But I cannot make a fair conclusion on that, considering that is now pending before a complaint before the Department of Justice. So I do not want to put any speculation on that or to be biased about it, but simply let us wait for the proper government authorities to put a conclusion on that.
Okay, finally, Attorney Vitangcol, based on your conversations with some members of Kapa Community Ministry, weren't they bothered that while they're giving these donations and while some of them were getting their returns, 30% or even more than 30%, aren't they bothered by reports that some of those people who run the organization are actually benefiting in terms of luxury vehicles?
Again, Christian?
Yeah, because there were reports that because of these donations given to the Kapa Community Ministry, some of those money or donations were used to buy luxury vehicles, helicopters even, based on reports, SUVs. Basically, those who were running the organization seem to be benefiting using the money or donations from the ordinary people there. Aren't they bothered with that, your clients?
We never talked about that, but
Then why
actually,
not?
that is a very good observation, Christian. And in fact, most of the religious organizations are doing that. You could see that their leaders and their ministers are all using luxury vehicles. They all have their own jet. And of course, all of this came from donations.
But I think that's
So,
a very
in
dangerous,
that
sweeping
particular-
generalization, sir. My apologies for that, because you cannot say that these things prevail or are also happening in all other religious organizations. So that's why agencies of government or regulators are stepping in. Because precisely the point here in the SEC decision is that the Commission cannot close its eyes to its mandate in protecting the public from these damaging and prejudicial schemes. That's the point.
Yes, that is actually the function of the government, to step in every time that they could feel that the populace is being exploited. But in this particular case, there were no complainants coming from the Kapa members themselves.
By the way, did all of your clients receive a return of their donations?
Not all of them. Not all of them.
Yung iba, magkano yung tinanggap nila? How big or how small?
Well, I have not made a detailed recording of what they have received. Because when we talk in groups and we only share information that they deemed shareable to me. So I did not really ask them one by one on how much each of them had earned. So basically, as I have mentioned a while ago, some earned more than 30%. Some said that they earned 50%. Some said that they received more than that.
And were they required to shell out a specific amount of donation? Based on the reports, it's 10,000 pesos.
I think they are free to give any amount of donation as far as my conversations with them is concerned.
Even if the amount is smaller than 10,000?
I think so. I
So
think
pwedeng
so.
piso?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, my apologies for asking these questions because we have to be specific. And finally, Attorney Alvitangcol, in schemes like this, usually the members who were duped, again, I'm not saying that this is already the case here with Kapa Community Ministry, but in investment scams, basically the poor are the ones left holding the bag. They're the ones who are left to suffer in the end. But also, you have to recognize the fact that in any investment scheme, again, it's all about greed. What do you say to that?
Yes. In any investment scheme, particularly for those in, let's say, multi-level networking systems, greed is always a factor. So if some people would like to earn more, they recruit more members. If they want to earn more, they sell non-existent products, and so on and so forth. So greed is always a factor.
Okay, Attorney Albitancol, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Christian.